Long before Denmark had its own kings minting their own money, the lands that would become this great nation were already part of a vast and interconnected world of trade. The story of Danish coins doesn't begin with a Danish coin at all. It starts with the arrival of foreign currency brought here by merchants and warriors. Imagine the sandy shores and deep forests of early Denmark. Here, people traded goods like amber, fur, and slaves. For big transactions, they didn't use coins. They used precious metals, weighed out carefully. This was a time of hacked silver, where silver objects, jewelry, and even foreign coins were simply cut into pieces to get the right weight. It was practical, but it wasn't money as we know it today. The first coins to regularly appear in Danish soil were Roman. These were the coins of a mighty empire to the south. The denarii and aurae, carried north along winding trade routes. They were more than just money, they were symbols of power and prestige. Finding a Roman coin must have felt like holding a piece of a distant, legendary world. Later, as the Roman Empire faded, other coins made their way here. Celtic imitations of Roman and Greek coins, often cruder in design but still valuable, began to circulate. These early pieces weren't part of a formal monetary system in Denmark. Instead, they were valued for their weight in silver or gold, treated as beautiful and exotic bullion. These foreign coins tell us a story of Denmark's earliest connections to the wider world. They show that the people here were not isolated. They were skilled sailors and savvy traders, engaging with the great powers of their time. The presence of these coins across the land, often found in hoards buried for safekeeping, paints a picture of a society on the cusp of great change. It was a world where wealth was portable and where a small piece of stamped metal from a faraway land could hold immense value. These were the seeds from which Denmark's own monetary history would eventually grow, a foundation built on the silver and gold of empires. The transition from using chunks of metal to using standardized coins was a slow one. For centuries, the old ways persisted alongside the new. A trader might have a bag containing a mix of Roman coins, Arab dirhams brought back by Vikings, and pieces of chopped-up bracelets. It was all just silver, but the idea of the coin, a piece of metal with a guaranteed weight and purity, stamped by a powerful ruler, was taking root. It was a revolutionary concept. It promised certainty and trust in transactions. The journey from weighing out silver to counting out coins was a long one, but it was a journey that would ultimately lead to the birth of Denmark's very own currency. The Viking Age was a time of epic voyages and profound change, and this is reflected in the coins of the era. Around the year 825, in the bustling trading town of Hedeby, something remarkable happened. The first coins were struck on Danish soil. These weren't grand gold pieces, but small silver coins known as pennies, or they were heavily inspired by the coins of the powerful Carolingian Empire to the south. Early designs were simple, often featuring ships, animals like deer, or abstract patterns. These coins were a statement. They proclaimed that Danish rulers were now part of the club of European kings who could issue their own money, a clear sign of growing power and organization in the region. As the Viking Age roared on, Danish kings began to consolidate their power, and the coins they minted became more sophisticated. By the late 10th century, under kings like Harald Bluetooth and Sweyn Forkbeard, Denmark had a more organized royal coinage. These coins often copied English designs, which is no surprise. The Vikings had extensive contact with England through both raiding and trading, and they saw the effectiveness of the English penny. Coins from this period often bear the name of the king and the moneyer who struck them. This was a form of quality control, ensuring the coin was of the correct weight and silver content, a crucial factor in building trust in the new currency. The symbols on these Viking coins are fascinating. They give us a glimpse into the minds of the people who used them. We see a mix of pagan and Christian imagery. A raven, the bird of the god Odin, might appear on one coin, while a cross, the symbol of the new Christian faith, might appear on another. This reflects the gradual conversion of Denmark to Christianity during this period. The coins were not just for buying goods, they were also a form of propaganda, spreading the message of the king's power and his faith across the land. Every time a person held a coin, they held a small piece of royal authority in their hand. These silver pennies were the backbone of the Viking economy. They were used to pay soldiers, to buy land, and to trade for exotic goods from as far away as Constantinople and Baghdad. Huge hoards of these coins have been found buried across Denmark and beyond, often alongside Arab silver dirhams and English pennies. These hoards are like time capsules telling us stories of wealth, fear, and the interconnectedness of the Viking world. They show that Denmark was a major player on the European stage, with a currency that was recognized and valued. The silver penny was the first true Danish coin, the ancestor of every krone that would follow. As the Viking Age gave way to the Middle Ages, Denmark's coinage system became more established and, at times, more chaotic. The power to mint coins was no longer just for the king. Powerful bishops and even some nobles were granted the right to strike their own coins. This led to a huge variety of different coins circulating at the same time. A market town in the 13th century might have seen coins from the king's mint in Roskilde, the archbishop's mint in Lund, and a local lord's mint, all being used together. This period is known for its civil wars and struggles for power, and the coins reflect this fragmentation. The most common coin of the early Middle Ages was still the silver penny, but its quality could vary wildly. During times of economic hardship or war, kings would often resort to debasement. This meant they would mix less valuable metals like copper with the silver to produce more coins from the same amount of precious metal. These coins were thin, often poorly struck, and were known as. They were so thin that they could only be stamped on one side. While this practice helped rulers pay their debts, it caused huge problems for ordinary people, leading to inflation and a loss of faith in the currency. It was a constant battle to maintain the purity of the coinage. Despite these challenges, the Middle Ages also saw important innovations. Towards the end of the period, larger silver coins began to be introduced to facilitate bigger transactions. Coins like the worth several pennies made trade more efficient. The designs on the coins also became more standardized, usually featuring a portrait of the ruling monarch on one side and a cross on the other. This helped to reinforce the king's authority over the fragmented feudal landscape. The mints became more organized, and the quality of the coins slowly began to improve as strong rulers brought stability to the kingdom. One of the most interesting aspects of medieval Danish coinage was the concept of joint coinage. At various times, the rulers of Denmark, Norway, and Sweden would agree to mint coins to a common standard. This was an early attempt at a kind of monetary union designed to make trade between the Scandinavian kingdoms easier. Coins struck under these agreements would often feature symbols representing all three realms. While these unions were often short-lived due to political rivalries, they showed a growing understanding of the importance of a stable and widely accepted currency for the prosperity of the entire region. It was a sign of things to come. From the 16th century onwards, Denmark entered a new era of power and influence, united with Norway in a personal union that would last for centuries. This political reality was reflected in its currency. The main coin of this period was the mighty, a large silver coin that became the standard for trade not just in Denmark and Norway, but also in their overseas territories in the West Indies, India, and Africa. The rigsdaler was Denmark's answer to the famous Spanish dollar and the German thaler. It was a coin of international standing, a symbol of the kingdom's commercial and maritime ambitions. Its introduction marked a shift away from the small, often unreliable coins of the Middle Ages. The design of the coins from the Danish-Norwegian kingdom was all about projecting power and unity. The king's portrait was almost always featured prominently, often in magnificent armor or royal robes. The reverse side of the coins typically displayed the combined coat of arms of Denmark and Norway, a clear visual statement of the dual monarchy. Other common symbols included crowns, lions, and galleons, all representing royal authority, strength, and sea power. The inscriptions were in Latin, the international language of the time, and proudly proclaimed the king's titles as the ruler of both kingdoms and other territories. These coins were ambassadors for the Danish-Norwegian crown. The currency system was complex, with the silver rigsdaler at the top. Below it were smaller denominations like the and the. There were 96 skilling in one rigsdaler. This system was used for everyday transactions. The coins were minted from various metals. The rigsdaler was silver, but smaller coins were made from cheaper silver alloys or copper. This created a multi-tiered system that catered to everyone from wealthy merchants trading overseas to a farmer buying bread at the local market. The value of these coins was tied directly to the precious metal they contained, making them a reliable store of wealth in an uncertain world. The coins of the Danish-Norwegian kingdom traveled far and wide. They were used by the Danish East India Company to trade for spices in Tranquebar, India. They were used in the Danish West Indies to buy sugar and other colonial goods. Hordes of these coins have been found in faraway lands, a testament to the global reach of the Danish-Norwegian merchant fleet. In these overseas colonies, the coins sometimes had special markings, or were even counterstamped by local authorities to make them valid for use there. The Rigsdaler and its subdivisions were the financial lifeblood of a small but ambitious colonial empire, connecting Copenhagen to a global network of trade and commerce. The early 19th century was a time of turmoil and transformation for Denmark. The Napoleonic Wars brought state bankruptcy and, in 1814, the heartbreaking loss of Norway, which was ceded to Sweden. This dramatic event marked the end of the 400-year-old dual monarchy and forced Denmark to forge a new, more focused national identity. This profound shift was immediately reflected in the nation's coinage. The old joint coat of arms disappeared, replaced by symbols that were purely Danish. The coins became a canvas on which the story of a smaller but proud and independent Denmark was told. The era of the Rigsdaler was coming to an end, and a new monetary system was on the horizon. After the separation from Norway, the design of Danish coins became overtly nationalistic. The king's portrait remained a central feature, but he was now presented solely as the King of Denmark. The reverse of the coins was redesigned to feature the 3 lions and 9 hearts of the Danish national coat of arms. Other distinctly Danish symbols, like the crown, dolphins symbolizing the nation's connection to the sea, and oak leaves representing strength and endurance, became common motifs. The coins were no longer about representing a sprawling multinational kingdom, but about celebrating the history, culture, and resilience of Denmark itself. Every coin was a small reminder of what it meant to be Danish. The state bankruptcy of 1813 had a devastating impact on the currency. The old Rigsdaler system collapsed, and the government was forced to issue huge amounts of paper money that quickly lost its value. To restore stability, a new central bank, the National Banken, was established, and a new currency system, the Rigsbankdaler, was introduced. The goal was to slowly bring the currency back to its silver value. This was a long and painful process, but it was essential for rebuilding the nation's economy. The coins from this period tell a story of economic recovery, with the quality of the metal gradually improving as the country got back on its feet. This period laid the groundwork for the modern Danish monetary system. The focus on national symbols, the establishment of a powerful central bank, and the struggle to create a stable and reliable currency were all crucial steps. The coins were no longer just for trade, they were an integral part of the nation-building project. They helped to foster a sense of shared identity and purpose among the Danish people in the wake of a national crisis. The elegant designs and solid silver content of the later Rigsbankdaler coins were a testament to the nation's successful recovery and a prelude to the next great monetary change, the introduction of the Krone. The year 1873 marked another revolutionary moment in the history of Danish money. Denmark, along with Sweden, decided to abandon the old silver-based systems and form the Scandinavian Monetary Union. Norway joined 2 years later. This ambitious project introduced a brand new currency, the krone, which means crown in Danish. The old Rigsbankdaler was replaced at a rate of 2 kroner for 1 Rigsbankdaler. For the first time, the 3 Scandinavian countries had a common currency system where coins from each nation were legal tender in the others. A Danish 10 kroner coin was worth exactly the same as a Swedish or Norwegian 10 kroner coin. It was a bold step towards economic integration. The new system was based on the gold standard. This meant that the value of the krone was fixed to a specific amount of gold. The central banks of the 3 countries were obliged to exchange their banknotes for gold upon request. This provided immense stability and confidence in the new currency. The coins themselves were also standardized. Gold coins were issued in denominations of 10 and 20 kroner. Silver coins were struck for 2 kroner, 1 krone, and smaller values like 25 and 10 ore. Bronze coins were used for the smallest denominations of 5, 2, and 1 ore. There were 100 ore in 1 krone, a decimal system that was much simpler than the old one. The designs of the new Danish krone coins continued the tradition of featuring the reigning monarch. King Christian IX, known as the father-in-law of Europe, graced the gold and larger silver coins. The reverse side often featured the national coat of arms, connecting the new modern currency with Denmark's long history. The materials themselves were a sign of the times. The use of gold for the highest value coins was a symbol of prosperity and stability in the late 19th century. The uniform design and high quality of the coins across all three countries made trade and travel between them easier than ever before. The Scandinavian monetary union was a great success for several decades, fostering close economic ties between the member nations. It created a large, stable currency zone that benefited all three countries. However, the outbreak of World War I in 1914 spelled the end for this golden age of monetary cooperation. The gold standard was abandoned as countries needed to print more money to finance the war. The link between the currencies was broken, and though the union officially existed until the 1920s, it had ceased to function in practice. Despite its demise, the union left a lasting legacy, the krone, which remains the name of the currency in Denmark, Norway, and Sweden, Krone, in the present day. The two world wars of the 20th century brought immense challenges to Denmark, and its coinage tells a vivid story of scarcity, occupation, and resilience. With the outbreak of World War I, the gold standard that had underpinned the Scandinavian monetary union was suspended. Gold and silver vanished from circulation as they were hoarded by governments and individuals. Denmark, as a neutral country, faced severe shortages of raw materials. This forced the mint to get creative. The familiar bronze and silver coins were replaced by coins made from cheaper, more readily available metals like iron, zinc, and aluminium. These were the nation's first so-called emergency coins. The coins produced during World War I were often plain and functional. The focus was not on beauty, but on providing enough currency for the economy to function. After the war, Denmark gradually returned to minting coins in bronze and silver-like alloys such as copper-nickel. However, the economic turmoil of the 1920s and the Great Depression of the 1930s meant that the nation's finances remained fragile. This period of instability was just a prelude to the even greater challenges that lay ahead, as the shadow of another war loomed over Europe. The German occupation of Denmark from 1940 to 1945 had a profound effect on the country's coinage. Once again, precious metals and copper were diverted for the war effort. The Danish mint was forced to produce coins almost exclusively from zinc and aluminium. A new series of coins was designed featuring the royal monogram of King Christian X and the Danish crown, but notably omitting the king's portrait. This was a subtle act of defiance, a way of asserting Danish sovereignty without provoking the occupying forces. These simple zinc coins became a symbol of national unity and quiet resistance during a dark period in the nation's history. After the liberation in 1945, there was a great desire to return to normality, and this included the coinage. The zinc and aluminium coins were gradually withdrawn and replaced with a new series made from bronze and copper-nickel. These post-war coins reintroduced the king's portrait, a powerful symbol of the restored freedom and monarchy. The experience of the war years left a lasting mark, however. It demonstrated how quickly a nation's currency could be altered by crisis, and how coins could be made from almost any material when necessary. The war coins remain a poignant reminder of the hardships endured by the Danish people. In the decades following World War II, Denmark rebuilt its economy and its currency system evolved to meet the needs of a modern welfare state. The coin series introduced after the war served the country well for many years, but by the late 1980s, a major reform was needed. The value of the smaller ore coins had been eroded by inflation, and the whole coin system felt outdated. In response, the National Banken introduced a brand new coin series between 1989 and 1993. This is the series that Danes use today. It was designed to be modern, practical, and easily distinguishable, with a clear theme connecting all the denominations. The current Danish coin series consists of 6 denominations: the 50 ore coin and the 1, 2, 5, 10, and 20 kroner coins. The 3 lowest value coins, 50 ore, 1, and 2 kroner, are made of bronze and feature designs inspired by prehistoric Danish art and artifacts. The 3 highest value coins, 5, 10, and 20 kroner, are made of a silvery copper-nickel alloy and feature the monogram of the reigning monarch, Queen Margrethe II. A clever feature of the series is the use of holes in the 1, 2, and 5 kroner coins, a design element that harks back to earlier 20th century Danish coins and makes them instantly recognizable by sight and touch. Perhaps the most significant chapter in the recent history of the Danish krone came in the year 2000. Denmark, as a member of the European Union, held a referendum on whether to abandon the krone and adopt the new European single currency, the euro. It was a decision that went to the very heart of Danish identity and sovereignty. The campaign was fiercely debated, with arguments about economic benefits on one side and the loss of national control on the other. In the end, the Danish people voted no, choosing to keep their historic currency. This decision reaffirmed the krone's status as a powerful symbol of Danish independence. Today, the Danish krone remains one of the few independent currencies within the European Union. While it is closely linked to the euro through an exchange rate mechanism to ensure stability, it is still minted in Copenhagen and controlled by the Danish central bank. The decision to keep the krone means that the long, unbroken story of Danish coinage, stretching all the way back to the Viking Age, continues. The coins in people's pockets are a direct link to that rich history. They are not just a means of exchange, but a daily expression of Denmark's unique place in Europe and the world. Beyond the coins used for everyday transactions, Denmark has a proud tradition of issuing special commemorative coins. These coins are minted to celebrate significant royal events, national anniversaries, and important cultural moments. They serve as miniature monuments, capturing a piece of Danish history in precious metal. Often struck in silver or gold and produced in limited quantities, these coins are not intended for general circulation. Instead, they are works of art, designed to be collected and cherished. This tradition began centuries ago, with kings issuing special medals and coins to mark coronations, weddings, and military victories. In modern times, this tradition has flourished. The Royal Danish Mint regularly releases commemorative coins that showcase the best of Danish design and craftsmanship. Major royal events such as the Jubilees and significant birthdays of Queen Margrethe II or the wedding of Crown Prince Frederik have all been marked with beautiful coin issues. These coins often feature stunning portraits of the royal family, created by leading artists and sculptors. They provide a tangible connection for the public to the monarchy, allowing people to own a small piece of a national celebration. These royal commemoratives are among the most popular issues for collectors. The themes for commemorative coins are not limited to the royal family. Denmark also uses them to honor its rich scientific and cultural heritage. A series of coins was issued to celebrate the fairy tales of Hans Christian Andersen, with designs depicting the Little Mermaid and the Ugly Duckling. Another series honored great Danish scientists like Niels Bohr and Hans Christian Ørsted. There have been coins featuring historic ships, famous architectural landmarks, and even a series dedicated to different types of towers in Denmark. These thematic coins are like a currency of culture, highlighting the achievements and stories that have shaped the nation. This long and varied history, from the first Viking pennies to the elegant modern commemorative issues, is why Danish coins are so highly valued by numismatists or coin collectors around the world. Each coin is a historical document. A worn silver penny tells a story of Viking trade. A large Rigsdaler speaks of a maritime empire. A simple zinc coin from 1942 whispers of occupation and resistance, and a modern krone affirms a nation's choice for sovereignty. Collecting Danish coins is a journey through the triumphs and tribulations of a remarkable country, making it one of the most rewarding and fascinating areas of numismatics.